All right, so let's dive right into this uh, pretty wild story developing right now. A story that really crosses borders and continents and goes back years.
Yeah, it's definitely got a lot of layers to unpack for sure. And it's one of those stories you kind of think is over, but then it comes roaring back to life.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So we're talking about Tahawwur Rana, right? This is the Canadian citizen of Pakistani origin who just arrived in Delhi just a few days ago on Thursday.
Yeah, Thursday evening, April 10th, 2025, if folks want to mark it on their calendars. But this wasn't your typical, tourist arrival.
Not at all. I mean, the pictures and videos coming out of Indira Gandhi International Airport were something else, right? Like you've got this transatlantic flight coming in, and instead of the usual baggage handlers and folks waiting to greet their families,
It was anything but ordinary.
yeah, you've got a prison van just sitting there plainside waiting, flanked by this serious looking armored vehicle.
Mahindra marksmen, they're calling it. These things are used by SWAT teams,
Yeah.
serious business.
And then to top it off, an ambulance standing by. I mean, you've got to wonder what the folks on that flight were thinking. Like, did anyone get a heads up that this wasn't going to be your average deplaning experience?
It's not exactly subtle, is it? I mean, that kind of security detail screams high profile, high risks, even potentially dangerous. I mean, think about what kind of message that sends to anyone watching, you know?
It definitely paints a picture, right?
Yeah.
And it all for this 64-year-old guy, Rana.
Right. Not exactly the picture of, an international fugitive on the run.
And the thing is, he wasn't in India for a vacation or a family reunion.
Nope. The moment his feet touched Indian soil, agents from the NIA, the National Investigation Agency, were right there waiting to take him into custody.
Yeah, so for those maybe not as familiar with the NIA, it's like India's FBI, essentially, but with a very specific focus on counterterrorism.
Yeah, they're the top dogs when it comes to investigating and disrupting terror networks, and they've been after Rana for a long time.
Oh, yeah, this goes way back, and it all circles back to one of the most horrific terror attacks in recent history, the 2008 Mumbai attacks.
2611, as it's often called in India.
Right. That just sends chills down your spine, just saying it. I mean, 60 hours,
Yeah.
10 Lashkar-e-Taiba terrorists just wreaking havoc across Mumbai.
Lashkar-e-Taiba being a Pakistan-based terrorist organization, and I mean, they chose some of the most symbolic and crowded places they could find.
Yeah, the Taj Mahal Palace Hotel,
Hmm.
the Chhatrapati Shivaji Terminus Railway Station, the Nariman House Chabad Center. I mean, these places are etched in people's memories for all the wrong reasons.
Yeah, it was a devastating attack. 166 people killed, over 238 wounded, including American citizens.
And the world watched in horror. I mean, those images are just seared into my brain.
I think for a lot of people, it was one of those moments where you realize just how vulnerable even seemingly secure places can be.
Absolutely. And now this is where Rana comes back into the picture.
Right, and this is where it gets really interesting.
Because Rana wasn't one of the gunmen who carried out the actual attacks, right?
No, his alleged role was different. He's accused of playing a crucial part in the preparation, the groundwork that made those attacks possible.
And that's what makes this extradition such a big deal after all these years. I mean, they're not bringing him back for something minor, right?
Not at all. See, in counterterrorism, it's not just about catching the guys who pulled the trigger. It's about dismantling the entire network, the infrastructure that allows these attacks to happen.
Like taking down the whole operation from the top down.
Exactly. And that's why guys like Rana, who allegedly helped lay the groundwork, are so valuable to investigators.
They're the ones who might have the intel on the bigger picture, the connections, the financing, the whole 9 yards.
And that's what we're going to be digging into today, right? Why is Rana so important to the NIA? What exactly did he allegedly do to facilitate the Mumbai attacks?
And what can we expect to happen during this 18-day interrogation period that the NIA just got approved by the court?
18 days, that's all they got, so you know they're going to make every minute count.
Yeah, the NIA initially asked for 20 days, but Special NIA Judge Chandrajit Singh at the Patiala House Court said 18 was enough.
So the clock is ticking. They've got to have a really tight strategy for extracting the information they need.
Right, and it's not like they're starting from scratch here. I mean, they've been building this case for years. They've got a ton of intelligence already.
Yeah, this isn't like a fishing expedition. They have specific leads. They need to follow up on specific questions they need answered.
Right, and it seems like a lot of it hinges on Rana's connection to David Coleman Headley.
Ah, Headley, there's a name that sends shivers down your spine.
For those who might not remember, Headley is a Pakistani-American who basically confessed to scouting out the targets in Mumbai for Lashkar-e-Taiba.
He provided the blueprint for the attacks. His reconnaissance was incredibly detailed, down to the smallest things, and tragically, that's what made the attacks so devastating.
It's chilling to think about. And The NIA believes that Rana was in close contact with Headley throughout this whole process.
Yeah, they were associates and reportedly communicated extensively in the lead up to the attacks.
And the NIA probably has a lot of that communication, documented emails, phone records, you name it.
Right, so now they need to get Rana's side of the story, see if it lines up with what Headley's already said, or if there are any discrepancies.
And there are bound to be some, right? I mean, memories fade, details get fuzzy. People try to protect themselves.
Absolutely, and those little inconsistencies, those gaps in their stories, that's where the truth often hides.
And one detail that really caught my eye was this mention of an email where Headley supposedly sent Rana a list of his personal possessions.
Yeah, almost like a will or a just in case I don't make it back kind of thing.
Exactly. And it's like, why would they be exchanging that kind of information unless they were both deeply involved in something extremely risky?
It definitely suggests a level of trust and shared understanding that goes beyond just casual acquaintances, right?
Right. Like they both knew they were playing with fire and needed to have their affairs in order.
It paints a pretty grim picture, but it's those kinds of details that investigators live for.
They're the little clues that can unlock a whole new understanding of the case.
Absolutely. And it's not just Headley. The NIA also brought up the names of Ilyas Kashmiri and Abdurrahman, both accused in the 2611 plot.
Right. They believe Rana has crucial info about their roles.
And that's what makes this so fascinating. You've got this web of connections, this intricate network of individuals and organizations all working together. And Rana might be the key to understanding how it all fits together.
He's the missing piece of the puzzle.
Right. And remember, this isn't just about the Mumbai attacks. It's about understanding how these terror networks operate, how they recruit, finance, and plan attacks.
So they can prevent future attacks from happening?
Exactly. So Rana's interrogation could have implications that go far beyond this one case.
Yeah. It's like those ripples in a pond, right?
Exactly. Now, so far, Rana's been pretty tight-lipped. During his initial court appearance, he didn't say much.
Yeah. I mean, can you imagine what must be going through his head after this whole legal battle? And now he's in a Delhi courtroom facing these incredibly serious charges.
It's got to be overwhelming.
And he opted for court-appointed counsel, right?
Yeah. Advocate Piyush Sakdeva drew the short straw. I guess representing someone in a case like this is a huge responsibility.
Talk about pressure, and the security around Rana is intense.
Yeah.
I mean, they basically locked down the whole area around Patiala House Court.
No media, no onlookers, nothing. They weren't taking any chances.
And once the NIA got custody, it was like a scene out of a movie, you know, the prison van, the armored vehicle, the whole shebang.
Yeah, it was quite the spectacle, but it makes sense considering the high-profile nature of the case and the sensitive information Rana might possess.
Right. They're not just worried about him escaping. They're worried about leaks, about outside influence, anything that could jeopardize the investigation.
Yeah, got to keep everything tight and controlled.
So let's talk about this evidence that the NIA is hoping Rana will shed some light on. I mean, there's a lot to unpack here.
Oh, yeah, we're talking years of investigation, reams of documents. It's a mountain of material.
But it sounds like those emails between Rana and Headley are going to be crucial.
Yeah, they're calling them the smoking gun, some folks are saying. But it's not just casual chit-chat. We're talking detailed conversations about the Mumbai plot references to key players.
And it's not just emails either. The NIA reportedly has voice recordings, photographs, videos, all kinds of stuff.
The whole works, and here's the kicker. They believe they have evidence linking Rana not just to Lashkar-e-Taiba, but also to the ISI.
Wow. No, that's a big one.
Huge. Right. The ISI is Pakistan's intelligence agency. So if they were involved, it takes this whole thing to a whole new level.
It becomes state-sponsored terrorism.
Exactly. And that has huge international implications.
Yeah, you can bet the governments around the world are watching this very closely.
Oh, absolutely. Especially India. I mean, their relationship with Pakistan is already incredibly complex and fraught with tension.
And if Rana spills the beans on the ISI's involvement, it's going to blow things wide open.
It'll be a diplomatic earthquake for sure.
So aside from all the communications and the intel stuff, the NIA is also really interested in Rana's travel history.
Yeah, all those trips he took across India in the months leading up to the attacks.
Delhi, Hapur, Agra, Kochi, Ahmedabad, Mumbai. I mean, he was all over the place.
And the NIA wants to know, why were these just innocent tourist trips maybe with his wife, like they're claiming? Or was he doing recon for the attacks?
Was he scooping out potential targets, meeting with contacts, laying the groundwork?
Right, because remember, Headley already admitted to doing recon in Mumbai, so it stands to reason that Rana might have been involved in something similar
And the NIA is not buying the whole innocent tourist routine for a second.
They're going to be scrutinizing every detail of those trips, looking for any inconsistencies, anything that points to a more sinister motive.
And I'm sure they're going to be asking Rana a lot of questions about his relationship with the ISI.
Oh, absolutely. They'll want to know how he got involved with them, what his role was, how high up the chain of command it went.
And that's what Pakistan is really worried about, right?
Oh, without a doubt. They've already denied any current connection to Rana, saying he hasn't renewed his Pakistani ID in over 20 years.
But Indian intelligence isn't buying it.
They're saying he's got deep ties to the ISI and the Pakistani military establishment, and that this extradition has them sweating bullets.
Like, they're worried he's going to spill the beans and expose their role in the whole thing.
Which would be incredibly damaging for them on the international stage.
Yeah, they'd be facing some serious consequences.
Absolutely. And, getting Rana to India was a huge legal battle. It took years and went all the way to the U.S. Supreme Court.
His lawyers tried every trick in the book. They even argued that extraditing him would violate the UN Convention Against Torture.
Yeah, but in the end, the Supreme Court said, nope, he's going back to India to face the music.
And it was a joint effort between the U.S. and India to make it happen.
A lot of cooperation and coordination going on behind the scenes.
And it's interesting that Israel has come out and publicly thanked India for pushing this through.
Makes sense, though, right? I mean, the Nariman house was targeted in the Mumbai attacks, and several Israeli citizens were killed.
It shows just how global the impact of these attacks was, and how important it is for countries to work together to hold terrorists accountable.
It's a reminder that terrorism doesn't respect borders, and that we all have a stake in fighting it.
So now Rana is in NIA custody. He's facing some extremely serious charges. Conspiracy to commit terrorist acts, waging war against the state, murder.
Heavy stuff.
And if convicted, he could be looking at life in prison or even the death penalty.
The stakes are incredibly high.
Yeah, and the NIA has a special public prosecutor on the case, Advocate Narendra Mann.
So they're pulling out all the stops.
They're not messing around, and they've reportedly got high security cells ready for him in both Mumbai and Delhi.
Just in case he decides to stick around.
Yeah, so this is a huge moment for the victims and the survivors of the Mumbai attacks.
A lot of people have been waiting a long time for this.
They want to see justice served, and they want answers.
And hopefully this trial will bring some closure and some measure of accountability.
And, it's been 17 years since those attacks happened.
Yeah.
But the scars are still there.
Time doesn't heal all wounds, especially when you're talking about something as horrific as terrorism.
And Rana's extradition is a reminder that even after all these years, the pursuit of justice continues.
It's a long and winding road, but sometimes it leads to where it needs to go.
And as we watch this case unfold, it really makes you think about what true accountability really means.
Especially in the context of international terrorism, where the lines are often blurred and the legal battles can drag on for years.
It's a complex issue, and one that we'll continue to grapple with as we try to make sense of a world where these kinds of attacks still happen.
Yeah, it's a sobering thought, but an important one to consider.
Because ultimately, it's about more than just one man or one case. It's about seeking justice for the victims and preventing future tragedies.
And that's a fight that's worth fighting no matter how long it takes.
Absolutely. And that's something for all of us to think about as we follow this case and as we continue to navigate this complex and often dangerous world.
Couldn't have said it better myself.
Well, that's it for this deep dive into the Tahawwur Rana case. Thanks for listening, and we'll keep you updated as the story develops.
Absolutely, folks. Stay tuned.